Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Got a little piece of shop furniture I want to build. Inevitably, whenever I'm working a project and I use my crosscut sled a lot, but when I need to pull it off the bench, it ends up getting stored on top of the planer cart, or if the planer's in use, man, I'm jammed up for someplace to put it. So I'm going to build a rack that's going to pop back in here, and I'll drop a picture of it in there to store my various sleds. Additionally, I've wanted a panel sled for quite a while for doing panels bigger than my crosscut sled, but I just don't have a legitimate storage option in here. So that'll solve that issue for me and allow me to go ahead and build that as well. I reached out to Mel Morris again for the design. He did it in Fusion 360 and really banged it out quick for me, which is awesome. And as usual, he left joinery stuff to me. It is shop furniture, so glues and screws and pin nails and everything else is full on in play here. I'll try to make it match the other furniture at least somewhat. I'll put, it is going to have a little drawer on it, so I'll put a walnut drawer front on it. I have some scrap that's about that size, so no issues there. It will also be on 4-inch casters, so that I can really roll it anywhere in the shop if I need to. This door is where I bring my material in, so it will need to move out of the way to get my material in. But it'll also be the same height as the table saw, so when I get that long stuff on there, I don't have to move that cart. It'll actually help me support that material as well. So, and you know, as usual, it'll be another horizontal surface in the shop, but maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not. The drawer in the top will take the dado stack. Now, in the old shop, I had the dado stack. I put it in the drum sander base because it was perfect in that shop. Well, in this shop, that drum sander lives a little further away from the table saw than I would like. So that drawer design on the top will take the dado stack pretty much as it is in that cabinet and allow me to move it to this cabinet, and it puts all the table saw stuff right here. I can always find something else to do with that small drawer in the sanding cabinet. So I'm going to go ahead and get the plywood in here, and I'll rough break it down off camera, and then everything will be final sized here on the table saw, and we'll start getting this rack put together. Okay, so I've got my sacrificial fence in. I've got my 3/4 inch dado stack and 0 clearance insert put in. And I've run a test scrap to make sure that it fits this plywood nicely, and it does. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the rabbet in the top and the bottom of the sides so that the actual top and the bottom of the case will fit right in there and help keep this thing square. Okay, while I have this set up in the saw, I'm also going to go ahead and cut exactly the same rabbet for the back panel. Frankly, I have a lot of leftover 3/4 that I can piece together to make a simple back for this, and it just makes sense to use up that material. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I've taken the sacrificial fence off and slid it over to account for a 3.5 inch drawer that'll be in here, which will house the dado stack. Again, I ran a test piece and verified my measurement, and we're all good to go. So I just need to cut the tops insides of both the side panels. Okay, I've reset my fence to account for my verticals, and my verticals may be different than your verticals. So my verticals are based off the actual dimensions on my current sleds, with maybe a little room for growth in the future. If I need to make something a little bigger, I can. So these measurements across will be based on sleds that you have in your shop. So I am going to cut the center divider as well as the bottom, and then I'll move the fence and cut for the next one so that I make sure that those line up when this whole carcass goes together. Okay, well there's the first glimpse at a dry fit, and that's all it is dry fit. All the dados and square and everything else really turned out good. Although I'm going to set the top in when I do this initial glue up, I'm not going to glue it in because it'll just make it easier for putting the glides and things in this little drawer. This is a fairly small drawer. So I'll come back after I mount those glides and get that put in. Not a big deal there. So glue up is next. That'll be my clamping strategy. And then I will come back and probably add some pin nails just to assist the glue till it dries. Okay, well I had to get a little creative on the clamping just to make sure everything was square. But I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and let the glue set up. And then I'll come back and move on. Probably put those verticals in next, which will just help lock that whole carcass in. Okay, so there I have the center dividers in. Like I said, I'm trying to use up shop scrap as much as I can and get some of this stuff out of the shop at the same time as making a useful project. So by leaving those center dividers short like that, I actually help myself with handles in the front because they're recessed in. I'll always be able to get a hold of a sled instead of fighting an edge. So that's cool, but I am going to have to fill those dados. That's just a little too sloppy even for shop furniture. So I'll grab some hardwood and fill those runners in, and then get some screws put in those runners as well, and then we'll move on. Okay, and just like that, that takes care of all the spacers, so we'll just let those cure up a little bit, and then I'll come back and I'll add screws in the drawer divider there. So you'll never see those screws, but I'm going to go ahead and screw the center dividers in, and then I'll do it from the underside as well. And I'm not too concerned with the back. Nothing's going to fall through there anyway, so I think I'll just leave those alone. Okay, so I used a big T-square to mark centers. I'm just going to go through and countersink these. Then I'll pilot drill them. And then I will drive a screw. Okay, so while I'm up here, I can go ahead and grab my measurement for the drawer parts, which my opening is at 3.5, and I'll do the drawer at, I'll do the drawer at 3, just to keep things simple. And I'll get those cut on the table saw. Okay, as long as I'm here, I'm also going to go ahead and cut roughly what I need for the drawer front and make sure I got some scrap to do it. And I'll cut it a little oversized for now. All right, that should be a good fit for the drawer front. But that also, now that it's milled to size, it gives me the setback for the drawer glides, which I can get installed next. Okay, now that I know the thickness of the drawer front, it's time to mount the glides, but before I can do that, I gotta put on the trim because that will change where that drawer front sits in the case. So next up, I'm gonna cut some trim to go in there. Will probably be cherry just because I have so much of it. And once I know that thickness, then I can go ahead and mount those drawer glides and get the top set in. Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, there's really no magic formula for the thickness of solid wood trim. I just need something light on here. So all I did was line it up on the blade to something that looks reasonable to me. And then I set this magnetic featherboard, if you will. So after I make the first cut, I'll just slide the fence over and line up the piece again, and it'll give me repeatability and getting pretty close to the same width trim each time. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, because I don't want to actually attach this trim yet, not till I get the top on it and the casework done, all I did was just clamp a couple of them up here. Then I can set the drawer front in place, and it can sit right on top of those clamps. That's okay. And then all I have to do is slide this drawer front forward until it hits the inside of that. And it's flush here, and I know that that's my location for that drawer glide. Okay, so now with the drawer glides installed, I can get what I need for the actual drawer front. And I cut a piece here that fits perfectly, and then I'll just mark the inside of each drawer glide and cut that. No measurements involved, and then I ensure that it's a perfect fit, and I'll cut the back side of the drawer exactly the same. Okay, I've reset the height of the blade for about 1/4 of an inch. And I've set my fence at about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm just going to groove these for a 1/4 inch bottom to go in that drawer. It'll take 2 passes with this blade, but that's okay. I'll just sneak up on that fit and get it just right. Okay, no fancy joinery here. Just going to be glue and screws. Then we'll slide the bottom in. Okay, so I'm just going to go back and use some of this very trim that I cut for the sides that I haven't used yet because it works for a good spacer. And I'm going to pull these drawer fronts out a little flush here on the front. And then I'm going to go ahead and pilot and get these front screws in. And I will locate the 3rd hole. Just like that. And we'll go ahead and let that cure up. I can go ahead and size the drawer front now and get that set up. Okay, so I have this small maple handle. It was left over from another project years and years ago. I would like a longer one in here, but that's okay. For now, this will work. I can always come back and add a bigger handle later. I marked a center line going this way. That's what the blue tape is for. A center line this way. I added a center line to the small handle. Line that up, and then located those screw holes. So I'm going to go ahead and pilot drill those, and then I'm going to actually use those holes to attach this whole drawer front to the drawer, and then I can pull the drawer out and get some screws out here, and then come back and mount the handle later. Okay, so that's a really good fit on the drawer front, just using a couple of business cards all the way around. Got it centered up, and now I'm just going to locate those holes from the handle. And I'm just going to drive a couple of long screws in there to hold it in place. Then I'll remove the drawer and actually get some screws on the inside to permanently affix it, and then I can mount the handle here. Okay, onto the wheels. I'm going for roughly a 3/8 indent. And I've gone to a larger pilot drill because I'm going to use a larger screw. Okay, just going to go ahead and screw the back on. It's all cut to size. Okay, so there it is, all up on the wheels. I just need to go ahead and get the trim put on it. Maybe throw a little coat of armor seal on this drawer front, and we'll call this one a wrap. Super happy with it. It's just working awesome. So let's go ahead and get the trim on. I'm just going with the trim that I pre-cut earlier and some pin nails. Okay, the only finish this is going to get is on the drawer front, just because it looks cool. And general finish is armor seal. Just one coat. It's just shop furniture. Well, there it is, guys. Just a nice rack for my sleds to go in. I got some room for growth. I can finally do that panel sled I've been wanting to do. I also moved the dado stack to this drawer, and everything just fit in so nice. So yeah, does exactly what I wanted it to do. It's the same level as the table saw, so if I get some long pieces in here, they'll sit right on top here, no issues. And it's going to serve a purpose in my shop. So until next time, guys, take care.